I tried as a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks I know. Not getting tired of talking, so I made up a show right now. It's time that you made your mind on. And it can sound a little bit strange. Everybody is talking. You need someone ready to change. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause it's the right time. I'm feeling alright. I'm flying higher. I'm ready to scream right now. Geeksvana. Don't miss any highlight. There's something you may like. Once I'm ready to fly. I'll tell how to do it right. So I'll tell how to do it right. Geeksvana. We're feeling alright. We're flying higher. We're gonna win tonight. We're here just for the audience. We're gonna show what you're going through. We wanna find you the perfect drone. There's no one else who can help you out. It's time that you made your mind up. And it can sound a little bit strange. Everybody is talking. You need someone ready to change. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause it's the right time. I'm feeling alright. I'm flying higher. I'm ready to scream right now. It's better. Don't miss any highlight. There's something you may like. Once I'm ready to fly. I'll tell how to do it right. So I'll tell how to do it right. It's better. We're feeling alright. We're flying higher. Gonna win tonight. It's better. It's better. It's better.
Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana Live. I hope you are all extremely well on this Thursday evening, and I hope you're not sick of seeing me. This is the third time we've live streamed this week, actually. But I really appreciate you all coming along and showing your support this evening. A very big shout out to our channel moderators for helping us on what was a record-breaking live stream yesterday. With Captain Kirk going up. We're going to be talking about that a little bit tonight, actually. Not too much, but there's a small update to share on that, which is very exciting. We're also going to be talking about, of course, the DJI launch and just a couple of extra little snippets which have come up of confirmation on that. We have some reaction with the panel. It's Stephen and Andrew, the other two amigos of the Three Amigos, are joining me this evening. We're going to be reacting to the couple of interviews that we had last week with the CAA on the channel, and we've also actually got some answers to some follow-up questions as well. We want more follow-up questions, which I will come back to as well. And we're also going to be going through the DronePrep landowner drone access policy story, which we live streamed on Monday. We've got some direct feedback from them, as well as a couple of other bits and pieces which came up, actually, which I certainly want to talk about at some point this evening as well. So just before we go across and bring the guys in, actually, I just wanted to very, very quickly thank one of our channel sponsors, who are Moonrock Insurance. I'm going to pop a link in the chat to their new hobbyist product, and if you use Geeksvana 10 as the code there, you actually get 10% off your quote. So anybody that's looking for hobbyist drone insurance, check that out. Okay, let's bring the guys in, shall we? Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Not too bad. Can I ruin the stream before we even start?
Yeah, do.
I just got to talk across you, Sean. Stephen, you've posted a tweet about Shutterstock.
Yes.
Where is that lake? That looks amazing.
It's in Finland.
Oh, we need to go there.
Is it the heart-shaped lake?
Yeah, it's the Heart Lake. Sorry.
Yeah. He also did. It shows you don't watch his channel. He also did a phenomenal video when it was frozen as well. Actually, he flew when all the snow had fallen in Finland and it was all frozen and everything. It's very awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
I watch your channel. I watch your channel, Stephen. So
it's not too far from Helsinki. It's not too far away. It's nearby the summer place, actually, and it took me 3 days.
Is that the one where
find,
you're in a dock and you're naked all the time when you try and post photos? Is that one?
No comment.
I thought the streams are supposed to go squirrel at the end of the stream, actually, but that's fine. I don't mind.
Sorry, I would forget otherwise, but it just caught my eye because it's in the Twitter feed here, and it's an amazing photo.
Yeah, it is stunning.
No wonder you're getting money for it.
Yeah, it's literally, people keep buying it. To put on
what did I see it?
and stuff.
I saw it on something drone related the other day, and I was like, "Hang on a minute, that's Stephen's fan." Oh, okay, they've paid for it. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, Stephen doesn't own the lake. It's not, he hasn't leased the airspace above it.
Ooh.
Airspace lease. Okay, so first
Who says
of all,
we can't do segues?
although we're talking about that much later on, actually. So no, we can't. We're actually going to be talking first of all about Blue Origin, which was obviously the whole New Shepard NS-18 mission, which was really, really exciting. I thought it was a real highlight of the space tourism side of things. Obviously, I see the SpaceX thing as something very different to that, but as the space tourism side of things, it was a real highlight. There is something attractive to me about being able to just go up briefly, knowing that you're coming down pretty quickly. How do you guys feel about that? Does the speed of it actually help the fact that you know you're coming down?
For me, it depends if I was paying for it or not. I mean, from a financial standpoint, it's incredibly short.
If money was no object, would you do it?
I mean, I joined the waiting list for it, but I wouldn't probably do it the next few years just because let's get a few hundred there before me. I've seen that Tom Hanks film about Apollo 13.
I don't know. There's something not quite. I don't know. It doesn't quite have the pizzazz or this. I mean, of course, it's safe. It looks really safe, but it doesn't quite have the appeal of SpaceX, if you know what I mean. It doesn't quite have the.
Yeah, I mean, they're very different missions, though. Very different missions, aren't they? I mean, obviously, SpaceX is a full-on space agency. Effectively, it's been hired by NASA to fulfill.
I do think it seems like a much better experience than the Virgin.
But if I had to choose, I mean, the thing is, if I was choosing this as Joe Blogs off the street, I've had Amazon parcels thrown at my front door and smashed to bits, but I've never heard a bad word about Virgin Upper Class. So it's like, if you're going to choose who to go with, but if I had the choice of those two, I'm going to go with Virgin because I would assume by default the overall experience is a better overall experience than going up in Blue Origin, because that's the brands. Those brands, one brand is dedicated to luxurious travel, one is brown packages.
Okay, clearly someone flies with Virgin Atlantic a lot and would like to get upgraded on their next flight.
I've never flown with Virgin Atlantic. Never.
I've never flown Virgin Atlantic myself. Sorry, I've never flown Virgin.
So apart from having no first-hand
I've had lots of
experience.
boxes from Amazon, but nothing. So if anything, my loyalty should be to the the brown box people. But
I suppose
I'm talking from a consumer standpoint. People fly Virgin, especially on.
But this isn't anything that these apart from a brand on the side. That's like saying Blue Origin has any kind of link to the service you receive from Amazon drivers. Of course it doesn't. That's to me, I don't like the thought of being held by an old 747 and then hurtled off into space. Personally, I like the idea of the rocket just sending you up. You're up there for a short amount of time, a short amount of weightlessness, and then you're down. I like that idea.
I think also when you go on Blue Origin, you have that astronaut type of experience of a rocket takeoff rather than, as you say, Sean, on the back of a plane or top of a plane. I would prefer Blue Origin, honestly, than I would to Virgin. There's some, again, I think with Virgin, I was quite, although they achieved it, everything was good.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I mean, there was something not correct.
And
didn't they also invade the airspace? Didn't they move out of the airspace as well? Clever segue.
But hold on. But also,
you can guess what the panel wants to talk about tonight, can't you?
But think of this from a person who has not mediocre is the wrong word, but sort of who has wants to go up, but is trepidation about rockets or things that have gone by in the past. Don't you feel the middle ground of going up in a conventional aircraft more so?
No,
appeals to the more risk adverse. You still want to go to space?
No. How is it risk adverse to have one aircraft, brand new aircraft, attached to an old ass aircraft that's been converted, and it's the 747 is an awesome aircraft, and then that then flown, and then your aircraft has got to separate and launch successfully from the other aircraft. Whereas this thing in Texas is just a rocket. You get on the rocket.
Yeah, but this is not what I've.
Wait. Jeff Bezos can close the door and everything's okay. You don't even have to have some kind of, space engineer or something close the door. Just some dude who owns a large company can close the door and you're fine. You're ready to go. You're up there for a few seconds and back down. To me, I like the idea of it.
And by the way, I think in future it won't be Jeff Bezos. It will be the guy that's delivering your parcels that's closing that door.
Yeah, that's what concerns me.
Yeah, the Prime version, Blue Origin Prime.
By the way, I noticed yesterday when I watched the replay, because I didn't actually see it live, I noticed that when actually Jeff opened the door, he actually opened the door, and I found that he actually opened it and it pushed in. Yes. Rather than it didn't come out. I thought that was concerning, actually.
Well, I also felt slightly concerning that they pulled up like these little steps from my local fairground that the local fairground owner had and plonked them next to it. I mean, it all works, and there is always the case that the lowest tech thing that works is the best thing because it's not going to let you down. But But
what we know from yesterday is. Blue Origin is definitely not the one to go with if you're teetotal.
Why? Oh yes, no, indeed.
You're forced champagne. As soon as drink it now, drink it.
Champagne, have it. Okay, so I just want to play a very quick clip which was sent to us by Blue Origin, which is actually about 45 seconds of onboard footage, which is absolutely fantastic. Enjoy this. Phenomenal, isn't it? And I have to say, his reaction, William's reaction to everything is amazing. And just when that moment when he looks out the window and that's it, he's mesmerized. I think it's
just it's sort of like, I just thought this is PR stuff. Oh, actually, no, this is real. It's just sort of like that sort of. I don't think he real. I don't. It just for me, it was the look of. It was the look of, I didn't realize this would actually happen.
Yeah, and that, actually he had that face as well in two other situations. One sat in the back of the pickup truck that Jeff Bezos was driving to drop them off at their pad, and then the second time when he was exhausted after walking up the stairs, you could see on his face he had two sort of that kind of realization. Oh God, this is actually real. Sort of hit him in those three points, which is amazing.
But I think that there's definitely amazing PR from just him. I think that the selling point of view, in a sense, because he genuinely felt emotion from
completely.
As you do from any good experience. When you have some kind of experience, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's you fly first class or you fly somewhere or you have something, and you have that, and you just have that kind of emotion that you get. He had that, and that is what they need to sell. That, I mean, if they're going to sell something, you sell an experience, and he had
I agree.
that experience.
I agree with you.
I think that these other people, they were kind of the scientists, which of course they are kind of used to. Maybe there was a couple of pain, but his emotion was definitely absolutely amazing.
It was pure. It was pure.
I get what you're saying, but technically, he is the most spaceship experience out of all of them.
But do you not see something quite profound about the fact that people who watched him as Captain Kirk pretending to be in space and then got the bug about space travel and got the bug about working in the aviation and space industry.
Yeah,
those people then created the craft that has now put that actor into space. That really is just that boggles my mind.
Are you saying that was the primary motive for them doing it?
Yeah, why not?
I agree.
So. I do think so. I actually do think that there was a clever marketing there. I think that Jeff Bezos actually contacting William Shatner to say, take you into space. I think it's an incredible piece of PR, really.
But if you look, I mean, the one thing I would say is, like, even the TV show Big Bang Theory, the holy grail in a lot of their stuff was space stuff.
Absolutely.
Most of them was all space. It's like, it's definitely, space was literally their holy grail of what they were trying to achieve in different things with Howard and others. So I think that completely there is this. I think isn't there a lot of people that like the deep sea? It's either space or the very deep ocean, which is supposed to be like less known about than space or whatever like that. But I do think there's one person who had a terrible day the day after this. That's Mark Hamill's agent. Mark Hamill's agent is being plagued by Elon Musk and Richard Branson. As what are you offering? What are you offering?
Well, yeah, and Tony's just said it in the chat actually, this was raised by, I'm trying to remember the name of the person in the chat. I can't remember. There was a lot of people there yesterday, but they're glad that none of the crewmates were wearing red outfits because you wouldn't want to sit next to them being a Star Trek.
Was that a fake photo? I saw a photograph. Was that a fake photo?
Which photo? There
was a photo of him wearing gold and the rest wearing red. Was that a fake? Was
that that's fake. That's fake. Yeah.
I was like, that's shit. I was like, of course that happened. That has to have happened.
Yeah, no, they were all in. They were all in Blue Origin blue.
I'm quite disappointed by that. Surely that was the PO. Maybe that genuine is probably a licensing issue.
Licensing issue, I think.
Second richest man in the world had a licensing issue for Star Trek stuff.
Can I just say I missed your show yesterday, Sean? Sorry, because
can you stop saying that you don't watch my channel, please? That's like the third time.
He's just balancing out the fact that I don't watch.
We've been streaming for 20 minutes, and 3 times you've already told everyone that you don't watch Geeksvana. Despite the fact that I knew your channel well enough to point out where the heart-shaped lake is in its frozen state, and not that I'm upset about this or anything, I
just want to say, I don't know if this was discussed yesterday, but I thought that the drone footage that was taken yesterday, especially when it was landing, the cat,
amazing, spot on,
absolutely incredible drone footage that they got.
Completely
and also,
agree.
I think it was taking off. It always catches the takeoff. But when it was coming into land, I thought, wow, that was who. We have to find out who that was.
Well,
who that was.
But, I mean, based on the previous video by them, it's Inspire 2's. I assume.
I think one of the shadows looked like a Mavic. Actually, there was it wasn't a very large footprint on the shadow.
I remember on whenever Bezos landed before, you could see this Inspire 2 circling it.
You could. That's right.
Yes, but this one was different. It looked like you're right, Sean.
Was that landing or takeoff?
Landing.
That was landing.
Maybe that's the sort of compactability of not knowing where it's going to come down as much.
It could be.
Guys. Maybe it was a Mavic 3.
That joke was made in the chat, but you wouldn't know that because you weren't there. Yeah, and we made that joke live, but never mind. Right. Speaking of drones and everything, we are going to segue into talking about drones next, which being a drone and tech channel, of course. But we are going to cover. There is a SpaceX launch at the end of October. We've got some very special stuff coming up surrounding SpaceX and that type of thing, and we're going to be covering that launch in full glorious.
Is that their like manned mission type thing, like Virgin have done and Blue Origin done?
Yeah, no, yeah. It's actually Crew 3 going up to the space station. It's
going back up the same place. Okay.
Yeah. But
it's not like a tourist flight.
No. But there are some very cool things happening surrounding it and about it, which we will be covering. But first of all, before we move on to our next story, I just want to give out.
Are they using the Mavic 3 for the launch?
You could just talk over the host.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Okay, I think we're past the point now we can start swearing. So shut that. up. I couldn't quite do it. Okay. A shout out to our other show sponsor, who ironically is actually owned by the man who is blocking me from talking right now, which is quite ironic. Drone Masterclass. If you're in the UK and you're looking for your A2 CofC or your GVC courses, and actually there's some more courses coming soon as well, aren't there? Which is exciting. There's a link in the chat. Go across and check it out. They've got some awesome pricing, and yeah. And are you saying good boy to Andrew?
He's a good boy.
Do you want to bring him back up so you can do that again for him? Here you go. Oh, press the button. Press the button. There we go. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
He's a good boy.
Who's a good drone instructor? There we go. Oh, that stroke is getting. Oh, that was very tender. Very nice. Okay, so up. So coming up soon, we're going to be talking about the CAA interview, the reaction, and some more feedback we've had from them, including some more information regarding C labels to try and dig a little bit deeper, but also the whole DronePrep Drone Access Policy thing we're going to be talking about as well. But up next, we're going to be talking about the DJI launches, and only very briefly though, because there's just a couple of little snippets of information that I've got to bring on that. And the first one is that I actually received an email today from one of the dealers the DJI dealers in the UK. I'm sure many people got this email as well. But it does actually seem to be stating that it is 3 products, because there's still some debates whether it's one product with three modular parts to it, or whether it will be 3 products. I'm not saying that they have any exclusive information, but why would a DJI official dealer be emailing something out with the incorrect information? And also that's certainly saying that the first one is probably going to be the DJI Pro camera, which I'm not looking forward to finding out how much that's going to cost personally, but that's going to be quite a lot of money, I would have thought. But we've also go on.
Does it say probably? Does it say probably?
My notes say it alludes to it. I can't remember the precise wording, but it alludes to the fact that, and it's got it in inverted commas. But again, it's coming from a DJI dealer. Surely they're not going to say, "Hey, the first one's a DJI Pro. Hit here and have a notification so you can buy it straight away." When it's going to be, I don't know, the DJI back scratcher. So I have a feeling that that's some good information, that's certainly what we're going to be seeing. But we've also now seen, thanks to Jasper Ellens at 27 Leaks in Twitter, there's a link in the description below to that, we've also now seen these labels pop up on the FCC database.
I saw these about an hour ago.
Yeah, so it's the DJI Action 2. So the timing is, actually I'll put it back over Stephen's face, there we go. The timing is the timing is perfect for it to be the second product that they're going to be launching. And it's interesting because, again, that should mean if it is the Mavic 3 for the third one, we should be maybe about a week off seeing that coming up on the FTC filings to fit to the same kind of time scale. Interestingly, though, you may notice one thing here. Tell me something about the larger picture that you noticed towards the bottom, Andrew, for an action camera that might be an issue.
Indoor use only.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not seen many productions where they want water on a lens.
No, indeed.
So,
but to have it on the label, indoor use only, when it's an action camera.
Yeah, but that just means it needs a housing or covered for you. Like, you wouldn't film it with a cinema camera without covering it in potential poor weather.
No.
So I wouldn't be that worried about that.
Yeah.
But that basically means it's not IP rated because the connections or whatever.
Yeah, it's poor wording. It's poor wording, which again is another theme of the evening. Potentially, perhaps they could have worded that differently.
I mean, I'm
sure
surprised
it wouldn't take long for someone to test it.
The conspiracy theorists will latch on to the UK CAA part of the marking.
No, indeed. Okay, so up next, we're going to be talking about, as I said, we weren't going to dwell on that too much because I know it's out there all the time, and we're only a week off finding out what the first one is. So let's enjoy that live event. We will be live streaming in and around that point to look at it and build that up. So I'll save that for next week. But we're going to talk next about the CAA interviews that we held. And again, thank you very much, Jonathan Nicholson, for joining us at DroneX last week to have a chat about all things CAA and drones, etc. It was great to meet him. I felt there were some informative videos. The first one was talking about takeoff and landing, and really, the whole side of things. That's the CAA stating, of course, it's not their rule as such. They don't control trespass or anything else like that. Not their issue. And although they were stating that it would be taken into account if if they came across an incident with an illegal drone flyer and there was a litany of issues, then of course they're going to take it into account. But there are no CAA enforcers or police officers standing on street corners checking to see whether or not someone is trespassing with their drone, frankly. So it isn't necessarily something that I got the impression from that interview that is a huge point of issue from a hobby point of view, especially the sub 250 gram market, from the CAA. Would you have got that impression, guys, from that interview?
Well, I mean, the first thing to say there is just to clarify that is in terms of the CAA enforcement and all that, they only enforce the specific category.
Yes.
Open category is purely down to police, and I would really the sub 250 would be really down to that as well.
Yes.
So the people who are typically potentially going to trespass more so, I imagine, the people who are just recreationally doing it, coming across a field or etc., rather than a sort of planned specific category flight or whatever. So it's nothing to do with the CAA in that respect, quite frankly.
Which is exactly what Jonathan said. So, it isn't under their remit, but it's very much the landowner issue has been sort of pushed out to the hobby as much more of an issue than it ever has done before. And I feel like we need a little bit more balance from the point of view that as long as you move off when someone tells you to move off, and also the amount of research that you have to carry out before that, you do just have to check the area, see if there's a sign up, that type of thing. You're not expected to go to Land Reg and find out who the owner is and find out if they mind if you fly there. Do you have a drone policy? Do you not? And make endless phone calls, that type of thing. That isn't what they're looking for you to do. They're looking for you to fly responsibly. And if you've done your entire checklists and everything's correct, everything's legal, your flight is legal, and it so happens that a trespass issue comes up, then that isn't necessarily something that suddenly you're going to have any kind of issue back from the CAA on. As long as, of course, and you're not going to get an issue from, as far as I'm aware, from the police, from the point of view, as long as you don't trigger it into becoming a criminal offence, basically. Because, of course, the initial act of trespass is still civil. And as far as I'm aware, as long as you move away when that person asks you to, when that landowner identifies themselves, then you're good to go, basically.
Even actually, whenever you from a civil standpoint, it's still civil no matter what.
Yes.
Even if you don't move off, it's still
Yes, but enforceable it's for nuisance, isn't it? Basically, yeah.
It's other things kick in to allow the police to move you off more so than actually because
exactly
people move onto their land, they have to use court enforcement to get them off and things.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't recommend that's the stance of Drone Pilot at all.
Just very quickly, Akirasho, hi, good to see you in the chat. He says bugger off. Can you say bugger off on YouTube? Well, we'll find out. I'll let you know if the channel gets demonetized for those. I believe you. There is actually a list of words, YouTube words, and there are safe words and like orange and red and.
No one here wants to hear
words.
your list of safe words.
Okay. That's a whole different thing, isn't it? I suppose. But yeah. But again, it is more from the point of view that, because with this channel, we do speak a lot of across the spectrum of hobbyist all the way through to specific and the higher end commercial drone operations. But it isn't something that I want people to be not flying for. I don't want people to be put off from the hobby because they're too worried about where they can take off from, because it isn't as much of an issue as necessarily some would point it out to be, basically. And I think we need to keep the hobby active. I think we need to keep the hobby responsible. And if someone does come up to you and say, "Hey, I'm the landowner. I don't want you flying here or taking off from here, etc.," then fine. That you have to respect that. It's the same as a landowner, certainly in England, obviously the Scottish laws are slightly different, can say, "I don't want you picnicking on this land, please move away," and you'd have to move away. So it isn't a drone specific thing is really what I'm saying. It's the same as, you shouldn't speed in your car on the way to fly your drone, but the CAA aren't going to come down on you for it. It's nothing to do with them. So I think that interview was good from the point of view that it did draw that little line between, basically.
I think this has been something which has this has been law obviously for a long time. It's just nobody really realizes it. Nobody has really had the need to, let's say, question it or whatever. Let's say until you picnic or you want to go on and actually fly a drone. And it's something which I've been thinking about quite a lot. More so this past week because I was in the UK last week, obviously, obviously with you guys, and then
how did that strip search in customs go, by the way?
Oh, it was fine.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, you do that again, and we'll test these ones out. and also the safe ones. But yeah, I mean, to hear those concerns, to hear all of these issues, you know, just only because of land, it's just. But you know, you go up north, you go to Scotland, it's not an issue. Of course,
and I think it's less of an issue.
That speech was brought to you by the Scottish Tourism Authority.
Indeed, we do obviously have councils that are saying we don't want drone takeoff from our land and that type of thing, and they publicise those things. But the fact that we're not expected to necessarily carry out, you know, diligent levels of, you know, huge levels of research to know that for a hobbyist drone flight, I think is a good place to be at. And it is more about the safe, responsible nature of the flight. Now, as Jonathan said during the interview, and I'm the same, I do actually like to know where I'm flying from. I do like to know, so I do actually carry out a bit more research myself, even when it is a hobby flight. But you know, there is that the responsibility, the accountability is with the drone pilot, and I think that's a really important message to put out there.
Yeah, of course, and also one other thing, I think we discussed this with a couple of people last week at DroneX, is that there really needs to be more education for the municipalities, you know, for the local councils. They need to be educated more about these drone laws, because it seems to be, now, if I only talk about England, because I actually cannot talk about Scotland because I've not had that experience, but just listening to people talk about England anyway, is that, you know, one city or one town will know something and the other one won't know anything, and then someone else won't have a clue, and nobody knows who to talk to. And this is a real, and this is something I would like to see the CAA and even
the CCA,
the Exams Authority for Northern Ireland. What?
Sorry, the CAA.
Oh, I snorted.
Actually, do something about this. Actually, start to educate, because it would be really
educate.
But the issue, but some councils are doing that. So the issue is, it's what the part of the council. The problem is all councils are all split up on things. So, for example, I know the events parts of councils in the UK all have these meetings and forums together. We've been able to speak to a few of them and things a few times. They are talking about drone issues and stuff. They don't really talk to their parks people unless the parks people say, what should we do with this? Or they come across it. Whereas I know the parks people have national stuff together. And the problem is councils like to compartmentalize things. So yes, you know, Council A are not having any issue with events, but are in parks, but yet the parks aren't speaking to events and blah, blah, blah. And that's the problem, is it's the government structure of that rather than the actual willingness. You know, we work with lots of different public authorities that publicly would be like, oh no, we're not going to let you fly a drone, but then they do, because it's a different part of the council actually doing those permissions. So and a lot of that comes out of the councillors' attitudes as well.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely, it does. Yeah, indeed.
It does.
Okay, right. So,
but just one more thing is that how do you guys have the confidence to know when you go and fly, knowing that you've got the right permission from the right person?
But that's it.
If you speak, because if you speak to someone,
but
how do you
from
know
a hobby,
from
a hobby point of view, you need to check the signs, be aware.
Absolutely.
So you know, if let me, I'll just finish this point. Let's say I'm flying in Woking Borough Council. So I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to check if there's signs. I'm going to check if there's anything telling me I shouldn't fly. I'm going to check the Woking Borough Council website, and I'm going to search for a drone policy just in their little search box. If that is clear, then as long as everything else is safe, the airspace, separation to people, am I flying under Article 16, A2 CofC, you know, straight hobbyist, A3, then I am going to conduct that flight. That's my personal opinion.
So I'm not a lawyer, but in legal terms in UK and elsewhere, the law talks about reasonability.
Yes. So
have you taken reasonable steps to identify if there's an issue with you flying on that land? So for me, for a council land, say a park, the easy thing is council website, Google the council and drones, see if any bylaw issues come up or anything like that. But it should be on the council website or the notice boards at the entrances to the parks. Yep. Now, it may not be the entrance you go in, but there should be
exactly what I just said.
I've never, that's but
it's usually by the car park as well, though, isn't it? The signs we're talking
one entrance where there's like a policy rule type thing.
That's it.
I've never come across park without one of those boards. And the key thing is, if you say there's nothing in the board, you even take a picture of it if you're worried to prove that you checked. So if you know, it's whatever's reasonable. And again, if park ranger comes and says no, stop.
Stop and move on. Exactly. And you'll often find, I mean, I have been moved on from land before, and they're perfectly reasonable. They're perfectly okay with it. They're like, oh, okay.
Yes,
and they chat to you about the drone and that type of thing. And then, it's all very well and good. I've never had an objectional or a confrontational situation with a landowner. I've had them with just random members of the public, but not anybody that's approached me from a landowner point of view or a landowner representative point of view.
Just when Vernon approached you in the park.
Could you imagine that? But it's something
you're
that,
out there
that I
flying
was.
Your Microdrone 4 all by yourself, and Vernon comes around.
I can't really be flying a drone that doesn't exist, but it's something that we have got a bit more clarity on for the hobby in the UK, and we want to continue. And we do have some very special shows coming up on Geeksvana in November and into December, which we won't talk about yet, but they will provide even more clarification, especially on the enforcement side of things, which is a little bit of a hint, shall we say. So we'll move on next to C labels, which was before Andrew starts talking about that and starts making something up about Vernon Kurzweil.
I didn't make anything up with Vernon Kurzweil.
Yeah, but I'm saying before you did. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, please go by my actual. Wording is important tonight on the stream, so you have to go by the wording, my correct wording. But go on. You're going.
If I was accurately talking about him, I would have sworn a lot more.
Yes, we would have needed the bleep button for that. Yes, indeed. Which actually, whilst we're talking about Vernon Kurzweil Microdrone 4.0, I saw Gavin Crittenden in the chat earlier, who is one of the backers and who is one of the vocal backers, who's done an awful lot of work towards helping other backers, a lot of stuff that people don't even know about. So hi, Gavin. But we do have a Microdrone 4.0 stream coming next week. I was hoping to do it this week, but we've run out of time. But there is one coming next week, and we do have some interesting updates on what's happening there. Lots of backers getting their refunds at the moment, but it's a bit of a strange tactic and the way it's happening, but we'll talk about that in next week's show. So the second part of the interview was talking about the C label side of things, and I think it was good to hear the CAA talking about the fact that there is the potential to discuss extending the legacy period if there aren't enough C label drones or C label drones aren't released by that point. So I think that was healthy to hear, wasn't it?
I don't think I've got any salt here, but I need to take a pinch of salt, I think. The CAA, this applies to all government. Even if you look at Brexit, for example, it's, bring up that topic of the show for lots more views. The government don't typically like to change where they're going or backtrack on things unless they really, really have to.
Yeah.
So unless there was, I would not expect backtracking on retrospective unless
no I'm not talking about retrospective. I'm not talking about retrospective. I'm talking about extending the legacy period potentially. His words were, and especially from the people that use these drones for work, we wouldn't stop people running their businesses. We wouldn't want to stop businesses from running just because there weren't C label drones available.
The issue is going to be, at what point do you stop doing that? There's always going to be a part where the transition period ends where it's not going to be nice for some people. But to me,
not for some people, for huge parts of the hobby and lower end enterprise businesses, in my opinion.
My point there is, what point do you stop and come off that train? Because
once there are products available, once there is a good level of products available.
My point is that it's a good level product, because once some products are available, it may still not suit some people. So my point is, I'm very reticent about the government. I think the government will first of all force a hard date with the manufacturers, and then only at the last second, like seconds before it becomes shit, then they'll go, right, okay, we'll give you another month. But my point is, don't rely on that.
I'm just going over to request the monetization turn back on after Andrew swore.
But my point is, don't rely on them extending or backtracking or anything.
No, don't rely. And I feel like I caveated my sentence enough to say that they would potentially look to perhaps extend it if there weren't the level of products available, and especially if that was stopping businesses from flying as well, from the point of view of keeping that side of the economy
the government
going.
Is ringing in my ears. Exactly what they said about the Northern Ireland Protocol for getting my sausages into Northern Ireland.
Yeah, we won't talk about that though.
So I've heard this before from the government, and they very rarely do actually follow through in that promise.
Well, indeed, but time will tell. Time will tell. So on that side of things, and actually with the C label side of things, I will jump forward to one of their answers actually, which directly talks about C labels. I was going to talk about this in a moment or two, but in the stream, in the interview, we did discuss C labels and the fact that the standards are available to drone manufacturers. And I said, okay, it's time to put the pressure back on DJI then. And after some reflection on that, I felt, okay, there's some more questions that need to be asked from that point of view. So we did ask, how does a drone manufacturer get their products cleared to have a C label? Because of course, just the fact that the standards are there and the drone makers here that's able to make a drone to that, we need to bring the two together. And what's in the middle is a standards agency that says, okay, this is how you get, these are the tests you have to go through. This is who has to oversee those tests to be able to say C1, C2, C3, C4, and C0 mark drones. And the response from the CAA, from Jonathan Nicholson, was the government, and in brackets Department for Transport, will be appointing a standard body to oversee the class marks and everything around them. They haven't yet announced who it will be, but it won't be the CAA as you would expect. Manufacturers declare their products meet the standard, and that will be overseen by that standards body. In reality, the idea is that users can simply look at the drone and see the mark, which of course is 100% correct. However, slightly different from the impression I felt that was given in the interview, from the point of view that actually now it's down to DJI, because DJI, yes, they can make the drone up to that level, but and to those specifications, but at the moment they cannot put a C1, C2 UK logo on there because the standards body has not been announced yet.
The key question for me now is, at what process or what point of the process are the UK government at appointing the standards body and all that malarkey?
Yes. Which is the next thing that I am now on digging with the Department for Transport, etc. as well. So we will be coming back to you guys on this, but certainly do not expect the DJI Mavic 3 to be a UK. I mean, the EASA, is a different kettle of fish. And again, I don't think they've got a standard released for it either. They've got the guidelines published, but I don't think they've actually got a standards body either. But the UK at this time, which of course is well beyond when the Mavic 3 would have gone through those tests, does not have a standards body for the UK C labels. So therefore, the Mavic 3 will not have a C label. There's 100%. And just very quickly, thank you very much, Clocks, for your £1 super chat. Really appreciate it. You're also a channel member and one of our Discord channel members as well, actually. So thank you, sir. I really appreciate all your support. Digital Samurai, £10 super chat. Thank you, sir. Thanks for digging this information out. It's important for all drone flyers getting into the hobby or business. Exactly. And that's very much what we want to try and do here, is get the real information out there. So
given Stephen was able to do a Scotland tourism advert earlier, I would now say if the Mavic 3 is European approved as a C label, then everyone should come to Northern Ireland and then just step a foot across the border and you can fly in the Republic of Ireland, and then
yeah, you'd have to have different things to hand to the officer if you have 1 foot on each. Would you have to have your A1, A3 here and your A2 CofC?
If you stand in Northern Ireland but fly into the Republic of Ireland.
Ooh. Well, there actually isn't Niagara Falls has that, doesn't it? Isn't it, which is the one that's
it's
Canada and US, yeah, and you can actually basically stand on one side and fly the drone over into the other side into another country, which is interesting. Imagine trying to get that drone back if it crashed.
So if your Mavic 3 is C labeled in the Republic of Ireland, can you put it down on the border on the far side, turn it on, step across to your controller, and take off? How does that work?
I believe it's actually for the UK regs. So once you're back over into the UK, you would be breaking the law from the point of view that it's the UK flyer where you're stood. It's your takeoff position, which is where everything's dealt with from the regulations point of view. So
I wouldn't like to be the one trying to prosecute that.
No. or even the one calling the police about it, frankly. No. So,
which side do you call?
I was about to say, is it Garda or is it yeah.
Will either care?
Yeah, that's right. Would either of them even answer the phone to you after the first time they've spoken?
Hello, is that the police? Yeah, there's a guy flying a drone on the other side of the border from where he is.
Across the border.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's a unique Northern Ireland problem, but come and spend your money here and give it a go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, indeed. Well, I'm not suggesting you give that a go, actually.
No, but if you register in the south for the aircraft and you're UK flyer up here,
Yeah, potentially. Okay, let's move along to retroactive labels, and that again was something which came up in the conversation, and I do feel like we got some really good, concise information from Jonathan on that, because it essentially, to me, it doesn't sound like it's going to happen, because they need a system that can be verified. We can't have a system of retroactive labeling that will water down the efficiency, as he said. You start finding these things on eBay and that type of thing. We can't have that system watered down. It needs to be reliable, frankly, and these labels are going to be perhaps holographic, who knows, with the actual labels themselves, but they're going to be on and sealed by the manufacturer, that if they're obviously then therefore tampered with, you can tell. And yeah, if it is something that you could get retroactively done, you would have to be a return to manufacturer type of setup, and the problem there, of course, is cost. Are you going to send back your £600 by then value Mavic Air 2S to pay £200 to have a sticker put on it by the manufacturer and updates, if that's even possible, if it's even possible at that point to meet the standards by just doing that? And
given that the manufacturers typically use not that many dealers in each country, there's a good chance of, especially like if you look at DJI, there's very few authorized repair centers in the UK in that respect. In UK,
yes,
a lot of them all just send stuff off to DJI. So at what point does the supply chain become overwhelmed because everyone tries to do that, if it is possible?
That's right. And even DJI, when they were talking about it on their blog post 18 months ago, which we did run a story on Geeksvana, that was on their enterprise blog. So they were obviously talking to people with the sort of, perhaps the Mavic 2 enterprise style drone and above, which are several £1,000 investments, which would hope to work. And of course, they were hoping that people just wouldn't stop buying DJI drones as well, of course, which is now starting to happen. And interestingly, Grey Arrows ran a member poll about whether or not they're going to be buying the Mavic 3, and the vote certainly went against members being interested in it. And of course, you have to argue that the C label situation is going to be one of those, frankly. So one of those issues which has pulled that number that way. So
if the CAA said they said before the manufacturers have the access to the guidelines, does that mean Vernon has them for certification for his?
Yes, it does. How many Vernon mentions can we get in tonight? But they have to be real mentions. We can't just say Vernon just randomly. Okay, we have to.
It has to be meaningful.
Yes,
Vernon,
in context.
Will the Microdrone 4.0 have a C label?
Yes, although I'm not sure
it'll
it needs
do very little else probably, apart from have the label by the looks of it. But from what I've seen,
I mean, he can get a pen and draw a C on the bottom of it. That's there's. I was going to be rude then and talk about another kind of C, but anyway.
I kept on thinking about that all the way through the view.
Yeah, that'll be for the drunk members only stream coming to you live from the new Drone Masterclass headquarters in a secret location yet to be revealed. Although I did reveal it last week, but so if you want to find out where it is, go through and comb the DroneX live streams and you'll find out where it is.
and we can say, we could give an exclusive away about that today. We can say the podcast room, which is where that stream will come from, had a wall put on today.
It did. Can I show a picture?
Yeah, sure.
It's as they say famously, it's not finished yet. But this is the podcast room as it's coming together at the new HQ. I picked the carpet myself. It's
so we can play chess in between.
I'm hoping you replace that, because that will really bug my OCD, because the panels don't match now. So, but anyway, but back to the show, shall we? We are running a live show. So again, that was interesting from that point of view. A bit more clarification. We are now going to move on to the Department for Transport and try and find out as much information as we can regarding the actual standards body and how long that's going to be from the point of view of therefore how long it's going to be before we're going to start seeing C label drones.
See, I think another agency will get involved at this point, and that'll be the BEIS, right, from memory, is the Business
Environment
Innovation Standards, Science, something like that. BEIS, and they're basically who deal with labeling and things like that. So I would be expecting them to get involved with DFT on this, because that's their sort of thing.
Do you expect there to be a new standards body for it, or do you think it would be someone like BEIS that would actually run the standards?
I assume you mean BSI, British Standards Institute. So I think it will come under the kite marking, I would imagine. Okay. It's an existing structure. It may be a new thing within that, but I would expect the government not to reinvent the wheel, given they already have certification of other products.
Exactly, and they have
BEIS runs.
And they have that system in place that can do it
it's
already.
It's not that complicated process. Once you have the standard defined and how you're going to assess these products, it's not that complicated.
No, indeed.
The key thing is assessing the product and assessing the manufacturer's suitability to apply it themselves.
Okay. Now, one of the things which has also been fed back, which was one of the big questions from the audience, was actually the seeing engagement from the CAA and actually how they can, how they can actually go and meet these people, how they can chat to Jonathan. Jonathan is actually personally at a lot of the shows, etc. So you can just go and chat to him about drone rules and have a chat and ask your questions, etc. And they've come back as well to say that they are going to events, they're going to more events, they run competitions, etc. They've taken up their larger drone stand and their drone flying cage that lets kids fly small drones safely while they give them and their parents sort of safety leaflets and chats to major events like the IWM air shows at Duxford. They ran a national junior school design a drone competition with Amazon. There was a huge success to get drone safety rules across to very young flyers as well. They also exhibited at drone shows. They ran their 400-foot Britain photography competition. Remember, there is a new CAA photography competition coming out soon, actually, which is exciting. And then that's obviously to try and sort of engage with younger and inexperienced. For the more experienced or commercial users, they always try to attend the major UK drone shows, and their inspectors are always out and about visiting approved operators or events. They also recommend, and this was an important part, it's one of the things that I've always recommended previously as well, that you sign up to the relevant categories in their Skywise alerting system. And I'm going to put the link in the chat to that very quickly now, because it is important. And if you sign up to this, you will actually get NOTAMs and danger areas, that type of thing, sent to your email. So you would literally get emails. You wake up in the morning, and I'm notified pretty much of everything that's going on in the country on my phone. So yes, you've got the drone assist and these maps to double check it, but actually you've got it coming as individual items, as individual emails, which I think is excellent.
And especially the one thing I'd really, apart from the airspace restrictions stuff, the one thing you will probably, hopefully you'll never see from them, but we have seen previously, is the safety notices.
Yes.
So if there is a problem with a certain drone or part of a drone, and the CAA go, we're not happy with this, we have to tell people about this, they issue safety notice. It has happened before.
It has.
On more than one occasion from memory. But pretty much about the same sort of structural systems. And they say these are the precautionary steps to take. If you don't sign up and see those, again, the reasonability bit we talked about earlier, then you may be in breach of the law in terms of when you fly if you don't comply with those. So it's really crucial to make sure you sign up for the safety notices as well, because that's we just tick the drone thing. I think it'll come through when you tick the drone category.
Exactly.
But that's information you may not get otherwise unless you have registered for that. So it's so critical.
Indeed, absolutely, and they also recommend their Twitter feed and their YouTube channel where they do some drone safety info. And in fact, I'm actually going to play out one of theirs, which is actually Jonathan in this video, which was a particularly interesting one about flying below 400 feet. Actually,
as responsible drone users, we know we shouldn't fly above 400 feet, but even under that height, there's a lot of other traffic going on in the airspace. We've come here to Yorkshire Air Ambulance today to find out more. As drone users, we have equal access to a lot of the airspace in the UK. But in reality, if we're talking about seeing and avoiding each other in the airspace, this drone is going to look really small to a helicopter pilot, even if they can see it at all. But to you as a drone user, this helicopter behind me is going to be really loud and really obvious. And then it's really up to you to take the sensible, avoiding, safe action to get your drone out of the way.
So when you're operating your drone, especially when you're in a built-up area, sometimes it's difficult to ascertain which direction the helicopter is coming from, because the noise bounces off the walls of the buildings. So as soon as you've identified the noise of the approaching helicopter, that's the time to get the drone on the ground to allow the aircraft to pass safely and then you'll be free to carry on once the aircraft has passed.
I'm less than a second's flying time away from that helicopter, and this is what the pilot will see.
Well, my message is that it's the see and avoid principle. When I dispatch on a job, it's really important I get there as quickly as possible. And sometimes that means flying at low level because of bad weather, or I have to descend below another aircraft. And so sometimes we will be operating below 400 feet. It's really difficult for me as a pilot to see any drone because of the size, and sometimes they're in the hover and there's no movement. So my message really is, if you hear the sound of a helicopter approaching, get the drone ideally on the ground to avoid us. Once we're past, pretty much like an ambulance, move over on the side of the road, and then you're free to carry on once the aircraft has passed.
As responsible drone users, we need to share the airspace safely, and that means sharing it with aircraft like this air ambulance helicopter. And in reality, when you're both sharing the airspace, you're going to see a helicopter like this way before the pilot sees you. That means you need to take the avoiding action, bring your drone down, make sure you're safe. So we want people to use drones, have fun with drones, but please fly responsibly.
Yeah, and I think the see and avoid thing is an interesting one, because you, as I've said in many of my videos before, you are going to come across aircraft even when you are flying sub 400, and of course that was a great example with the air ambulance side of things. And what they see is extremely restricted and very much last minute. So for you to see and avoid is much easier, an awful lot, than for them, frankly.
I've had an air procs with an ambulance as well, and they never saw me.
Wow. That's yeah, well, indeed, and that is very much what Jonathan from the CAA was saying there in the video, is that we can see the helicopter quicker than probably they can see our drone. So the see and avoid side of things, take that responsibility and act where possible, frankly. So it's it's interesting.
And never rely on thinking that you can hear it first, because depending on where you are, trees, and the height of the helicopter. Sometimes you may hear it right at the last second, So
even building shadow can bounce the off. You think it's coming from the left, it's coming from the right.
Exactly. Ian in London did a great video with that. He was invited down to one of the RAF bases for a demonstration of that, actually, and they flew the Apache, which is not exactly a quiet or a subtle aircraft, across some trees just over from the aerodrome, and he was shocked, genuinely shocked, at the fact that he could actually see this thing pop across the trees, and then started to hear it rebounding off the buildings, etc. So it isn't this thing of I'll react when I can hear something. It's why you have to keep scanning that airspace to see what's going on around a drone. And it's also, and I don't want to sound like the drone police, but it's also why you need to have visual line of sight of your drone, because then
that's not drone police. That's not. We should talk about the drone police. We should talk about drone police. You're not drone police. That's
okay. You do mean in the derogatory sense. You don't mean we're going to talk about the fantastic people at Devon and Cornwall Police Drone Unit, or no? Okay,
we should talk
fantastic. Who actually we mentioned Twitter before. There are any drone enthusiast, any drone hobbyist. You should go on Twitter and follow all of the police drone units like Devon and Cornwall and North Yorkshire and North Wales police drones. Some of the stuff they put out is really fascinating. They talk about their operations. They talk about the events that they're out at, etc. And often you can actually find that you can go and see some of these awesome matrices, etc. Although I get more excited about the really swanky police cars. But anyway, with the awesome boxes and I love boxes to put things away in, and the fantastic setups.
You're like a child at Christmas. The child at Christmas gets a present in a box. You're like, you're more interested in the box.
Yeah.
That pulls out of the 4x. Wow.
Yeah. I actually found myself having to hold myself back in future, because one of them, I think it was North Wales Police. Are they the ones that got the new sexy Volvo?
No, that's West Mids.
That's it. And I actually put
West Mids are getting all the sexy stuff because of Commonwealth Games. And
I actually put "ooh sexy" as a reply to the tweet publicly as Geeksvana. I was like, okay, because obviously it was the drone and all the unit and the lovely police car with the thing. And anyway, but yeah, go follow those accounts actually, because it is interesting.
Just before we get lost, anything else? We have had a question earlier from North Coast Aerial Photography, who I believe from Northern Ireland.
Yes.
Who mentioned VLOS there. They were asking earlier a few times, so I think we justify our response.
Yes, and thank you to Travel to Rosie, because I did write that down a few minutes ago to come back to, because he pointed it out.
They're asking, I think they've got the wording of the question the wrong way around. It was like, do you have to have a little bit of VLOS when you're flying around the building? And I was like, no, you have to VLOS at all times, not a little bit of VLOS.
Well, what it actually is, it's the drone, and I'm going to go into the drone code now, and I'm going to pull up the point, because it's one of the final points, and I want to get this right. It's the less common flying points, 35 to 37. Is it bad that I know the drone code well enough that I know exactly which point it is? Is that good? Or I suppose it's good if I run a channel like this. 35.
Like, I know most of NCIS's Gibbs's rules, so that's similar, level of geekdom.
Yeah. Did you know he wears shirts at the end that are actually sent in from police departments and fire departments? You know the final scene where he's in his basement where he was building his boat back in those seasons.
I hope you genuinely just didn't give it a spoiler away from
I
haven't seen.
No, I didn't.
The latest series.
No, there's no spoiler.
He did.
I don't watch it. I actually don't watch it anymore since Siva and what's his face left. But anyway. Michael Weatherly,
Tony Donoso.
But Tony Donoso, but the shirts that he used to wear at the end of the other shows were sent into him from different police forces. So it would basically be giving them a shout out, which is pretty cool.
Back to drones.
But yeah, point 35 of the drone code, which is under their lesser known. They actually title this entire section "Less Common Flying Points," which there is actually a Geeksvana video on this in our UK drone rules series. So go and watch all of those videos. There's about 30 of them, but go and watch them all. They are in a playlist. Some drones, point 35 is flying with follow me mode active. So it's very specific, flying with follow me mode active. Some drones or model aircraft have a follow me mode that means you can set your aircraft to follow you within a fixed distance. You do not have to keep your drone or model aircraft in direct sight when follow me mode is active and set to follow you within 50 meters of you. You must still follow all of the other points. So it isn't saying that you can go, beyond visual line of sight or anything else like that. It is saying that you do not have to have visual line of sight. So this is from the point of view that, if you've got a Skydio, not that they're rated for the UK yet, but anyway, or something like that, or an Air 2S and you're in the appropriate airspace for it, within 50 meters, I can have that follow me and I can sort of walk off and, or do whatever I'm doing without having to have it in front of me where I can see it. It can come round behind me. It doesn't mean that it can start ducking behind buildings and that type of thing.
So can we just say a pinch of VLOS?
A pinch of VLOS. Well, I suppose it's it's. You do not have to keep your drone or model aircraft within direct sight when follow me mode is active and set to follow within 50 meters of you. I suppose if a tree is within that 50 meters, it can go in behind that tree and that type of thing. And, but again, obviously it does say that you still have to follow all the other points.
Yeah,
so
other things can kick in.
So you have to make sure that 50 meters is safe. So, for instance, if it goes in behind trees and there's people over there, then Article 241 could be used to say that it wasn't a safe flight and that type of thing. So,
it is drone under the new rules and things in terms of distances and things, obviously.
Exactly, but it is very specific. It's a very specific rule. Ironically, the one drone that you would want this with is Mini 2, which of course the DJI Mini 2 using the DJI app does not have a follow me mode because it doesn't have obstacle avoidance. That might change, of course, with the Autel Nano. Which I'm still very excited to have a play with when that comes out. So, Tony from Fly Guys Drones UK wants to know why Andrew isn't wearing a Geeksvana top. Would you like to answer that, Andrew?
I never got the memo before I travelled to the office.
Well, I don't think that you knew you were coming on a live stream with Geeksvana. Look at us at the top here. So if you had a Geeksvana top on, you could have had this top slot, not be down there.
We would all be matching. If he was wearing flybys, I'm wearing credit space drones. You're wearing geeks. That would match as well.
Yeah.
So
To be fair, every other live stream we've done, Stephen has worn a flyby guy's top. But also, to be fair to Stephen, he only got his hoodie last week at DroneX. it's taken me all that time to get him any kind of Geeksvana related merch.
And I would be wearing my flyby guy's hat if.
Just a pinch of Velos. Why do I feel like that's going to become one of Stephen's catchphrases?
was that guy with the steak with the salt? Just that guy does it. Pinch.
Okay. So yeah, I think it was North Coast Aerial Photography. Let us know if that is what you're talking about.
They've just put a new message about it. Basically said about if you're flying around a statue and the drone is invisible for a few seconds, but that's what they want to know. But move. I mean, if it's flying a statue, unless it's like, I don't know what size the statue you could go to.
Well,
that you couldn't move slightly to be
if you are following all the other UK drone rules and your drone is within 50 meters and is in follow me mode specifically, and that statue is covered within that 50 meters, then yes. As long as Article 241's covered, all your distances are covered, that type of thing. But the issue, of course, is that because of the size of drone, unless there's no one there, you're at 6 o'clock in the morning, then fantastic. You're going to potentially fall foul of other issues. But yes, in as long as you're following the wording of that 0.35 of the drone code, then yes.
I would say if it's a very split second where you're having to move, like say it's the Angel of the North, and for you as a person to move from one side to the other, there's this tiny split second where you can't see it. Okay, that's okay, because as long as you verify the airspace is clear before you do that move and stuff, and it's literally a split second, you're not going to get prosecuted for a split second of lack of VLOS. So if it's that sort of thing you're talking about, you're okay. So
a pinch of VLOS.
Yeah.
Just a pinch of BB-loss.
I hope that gave you the information.
He's going to have a chef's hat he's going to bring out for that next time he does that.
Okay, moving on. But again, Sean@geeksvana.com. Email me your questions for the CAA. We are going to be putting more forward to them, and they're actually coming back to us for my awesome FPV crowd out there who support the channel as well. We've also got a fantastic FPV chat section in our Discord channel. I have put some specific FPV questions forward that you gave me. Those are being checked on, and they're coming back to me.
Can we put a challenge out to the CAA live?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because that's not fair. Because that's not fair. Okay. Tell me what the theoretical challenge is, and then we can decide if we're going to give it the Geeksvana backing.
We call them out and say, right, CAA RPAS unit live in the studio for a live stream.
Well, I would much rather. I would much rather put it another way, that rather than calling people out and then them coming here because they feel like they've been called out, which I feel is rather aggressive, Andrew. I would, of course, wholeheartedly, the door is literally unlocked, and the RPAS unit, anybody at the CAA, anybody that wants to talk about drones is welcome to come and talk to me.
Some of your followers, I wouldn't tell them your door's unlocked.
Well, like this guy, you mean?
Yeah, you might find some people with beards walking in.
I'm safe. I'm safe because Stephen in his beard is an ocean away, or yeah.
Yeah, I'm far away. So
yeah. So for now, well, as far as I'm aware, that's not that's your temporary home at the moment. So for all I know, that could be downtown, Surrey. I was about to say the town I'm sat in. Then that would have been a bit too much like doxing. Okay, right. Moving on. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next section. And earlier this week, you all joined me again very kindly for a bit of a last-minute live stream from the issue of airspace, and it was really the wolf in sheep's clothing live stream, as we called it, from the point of view of trying to look at whether or not a drone access policy, which appeared to give us somewhere extra to fly for the hobby, was actually something which was essentially a wolf in sheep's clothing, because it was talking about restrictions to airspace. It wasn't talking about a landowner takeoff landing type side of things. Now we do have a response from DronePrep, and I really appreciate the time of Claire Owen, who took a long time to talk to us on this, and Beth, who is in their marketing department, to discuss the issues, and they've taken them extremely seriously, and I do have a bit of feedback for them later. But first of all, I just wanted to talk about this. This is the first time we have been together since that story, and I really just wanted to have a chat with you guys about it and really get your sort of thought process. Do you guys know enough about this to comment?
I feel yes. I mean, I come from this Remember, I come from an experience of working with a lot of government bodies and major events on restricting airspace and making sure that people still have access as well at the same time. So
which is the UAS geographical zone. Now, for people that don't know, this is the press release which came out from Kipling Halls and Garden, which is good a little refresher here. And it's basically this is something which has been produced in consultation with DronePrep. So essentially, Kipling Hall and Gardens are a client of DronePrep who have given them the tools to have a drone access policy. And the idea behind that is that they can obviously, open up their land for people to be able to take off and land. My issue with that is there was no talking about takeoff and land. There was just talking about airspace, to the point where a direct quote in this from the director of Kipling Hall and Gardens, James Etherington, where it actually read, "We've worked with DronePrep, a specialist organisation connecting pilots and landowners, to create a policy that clearly defines when, where and how pilots can access our airspace." Now, there's obviously an issue with that wording from the point of view that there is no specialist organisation, there is no landowner that can define when, where and how pilots can access any airspace, drone pilots. That just isn't the way that it works without a UAS a geographical zone or a NOTAM, that type of thing. Or is it RAT, temporary danger area?
Restriction of airspace temporary, if it's a temporary one, or you can get danger areas or restricted airspace.
So but there are very specific ways to restrict airspace that have lots of hurdles to get there. So you cannot simply you cannot simply make a policy, write a policy to say, okay, we now control the airspace. That just isn't the way it works.
And the reason they're restricted is down to purely an aviation hazard, essentially, or there's some other stuff the police can use. But from a private sector base, which this would be, it's if there's an aviation hazard. So if they decide to launch balloons from that side for a hot air balloon show, they can probably get a temporary restriction for drones.
Yes,
but while that hazard is there, not permanently. I mean, this it's just not possible, and it's not reasonable, and it's not acceptable to close airspace, in that respect. So,
and certainly, but I think my issue with it was that this could set a dangerous precedent from the point of view that other landowners, other organisations would say, hey, well, they restricted their airspace and no one's pulled them up on it. So I felt like we had to do something about this from the point of view that we as one drone access policy, this is the first one, as I was stating, then fine. We can fight that. If there's suddenly 300 of these things springing up all over the country, then it almost becomes like an acceptance to essentially regulate through the back door.
Well, my concern as well is the money tree.
Well, this is. I think this is where there is a danger of it going. We know what happened with AirMap last year, or was it this year? I think it was this year, when AirMap had made that tweet about charging for airspace or the taxing airspace, I think it was, which caused an uproar within the drone community, hobby and also professional, which I don't think AirMap have really ever recovered from, but that's another story. Then there was also a couple of, a few people talking about someone from NATS, I think it was the CEO from NATS, announcing on Twitter as well that they would like to see the airspace to be charged. So whatever UTM they would be using, anyone who wants to fly,
pay to fly, essentially. Yeah,
pay to fly. So now the drone community obviously was in uproar, and I see this now. Those were tweets, so those were not official statements. They were not press releases that came out from AirMap or from NATS. This is a press release. This is official, and yet the only person that came out to speak about this was you.
Yeah, well, indeed, which is surprising, because there is an extra element to this which I'll come on to. But Interactive DNA would just like it on the record that his backdoor is only exit, no entrance allowed. I caught my eye on the chat when I was, but there we go. Anyway, we're always up for a laugh here at Geeksvana as well. But it's the fact that, things like point 2 here, flying is restricted to the public opening hours of Kipling Hall and Gardens. My problem there is that what happens if a member of staff is working there? I'm flying my drone over the hall at, I don't know, 5 o'clock in the evening when they're closed, and my flight is completely legal, and certainly, you know, it could be none of their business from the point of view of where I've taken off from, etc. As long as I'm satisfied that it's legal and that the authorities are. Then that could cause confrontation straight there. And also just those words, flying is restricted, and everything here, flying must be carried out in accordance with. It is talking about flight. Permission to fly is authorized by Kipling Hall and can be withdrawn. It talks about flight and airspace way too much. Bear in mind, this is a drone access policy, which is giving you permission to take off and land on their property, which, if worded correctly and if marketed correctly, this is fantastic. Go along, have a cup of coffee, go for a day out with the kids, etc., and take your Mini 2 with you, and you can get some drone shots of it. Fantastic. I think that's really good. But there are zero, count them, zero takeoff and landing mentions. The actual thing that this contract gives you, the actual thing that this policy is based on, is zero. And in just 6 pages of text, there are 10 airspace restriction references. So if you read this as a hobbyist that didn't know any better, or a member of the public that's annoyed with this drone flying over this stately home, you would quite rightly get the impression that they shouldn't be doing that. They're not allowed to do that.
The rightly worded policy will attract people to come to the site and spend on site and stuff like that, which is it's the positive attitude they should be approaching to this.
Yes.
You know, because a lot of the recreational flyers I'm aware of through the channel and things, they've got families. You know, it may be one member of the family is flying the drone, so the whole family might go pay in, get lunch there, have a walk around, while the person who does drones of the family goes and does a bit of drone thing as well.
Yeah.
It'll encourage tourism like that, especially when you're advised to stay local as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I have stated many, many times that the National Trust could make literally truckloads of cash by basically saying, okay, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, especially in the winter months, we don't get any visitors from sunrise to 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. We allow drone flights. You come along, you buy your ticket to access it. You're going to sell lots of breakfasts. You're going to have lots of people buying things at your gift shop, etc., and that type of thing, and a lot more visitors. You're also going to get a ton of free PR when people put all these drone photos, etc. out. And those people don't even have to mix. So you can have a drone access policy that doesn't even mix with your general visitors as well.
But there's that many categories of National Trust membership from memory that you could always people would pay for a drone access one for their properties and things, as long as it wasn't too extortionate.
Yeah, a tier.
That sort of gentle pricing, if you like, wouldn't really offend people too much. There'll always be some people who'll be offended by any money involved whatsoever, even though that's life. Yes. You don't get into National Trust for free in general, so let alone with a drone. But so I think that they could be making money from these in a gentle way that supports what they need to cover cost wise.
For takeoff and landing permissions. So that you can get better shots. You can get better shots from a VLOS point of view as well, which I fully support.
And then if you weren't we would prefer you fly this part of the site or take off and land this part of the site, it's more furry. It's more, well, I don't mind complying because they're helping me out, but let me fly. It's not the law doesn't say this sort of response, which you'll get if you are just so negative.
Exactly. Yeah, and you're much more likely to be compliant. It did go a little bit deeper, and this did spark a very lengthy conversation, because again, a lot of the viewers pointed out the fact that when you go to the landowner section of the DronePrep website, that perhaps this isn't just endemic of that one policy, that perhaps it is something to do with the way that they are approaching the drone access policy. Because again, this is their website, which of course has been alive for a lot longer than that single access policy has been. And they talk about the fact that obviously they're seeing a boom in low-level air traffic there. These figures are set to increase as more and more organizations adopt their use. Drones can boost revenue.
That next line's horrible.
Yeah, your land makes you money, so can your airspace. DroneFlight offers a potential additional revenue stream to landowners and partners, whether through enhanced R&D, improved asset management and inspection, or et cetera, et cetera. The problem there for me, again, is that they're talking about monetizing airspace, and those are the words you're using. I might sound like I'm being a pedant with this stuff, but there is a massive difference. And if we allow anybody as well intentioned as DronePrep claim to be, if we allow anybody to do this, then I'm afraid we do sleepwalk into regulation, and that isn't something you hear me talk about often. But when I see something like this, we do have to call it out. The next section: regulations don't cover everything. Well, okay. That's already an interesting statement.
Sorry. I'm just reading this line after the word CAA. What?
Yeah. The UK Civil Aviation Authority, CAA, regulates where pilots can take off and land, UAVs. But that doesn't cover flying over private land. As drones become more prevalent in all sectors, it's important to be prepared. I have an issue with this. It's exactly the other way round. It's exactly the CAA regulates where pilots can take off and land. Well, I have an interview with the CAA, Jonathan Nicholson, which states takeoff and landing isn't their thing. That's not their thing. You know, that's trespass. That's established UK law and landowner rights. But that doesn't cover flying over private land. Yes, it does.
What are they going to say next? The CAA regulate indoor flight, not outdoor.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's literally you know, it is the opposite way around. And as I stated, people that saw the live stream, and anybody that knows me, I've always been a fan of DronePrep. I think that their mapping system is excellent, and they've always got a lot of time to talk to us, etc. Although I still haven't, unfortunately, didn't meet Gareth during DroneX, which was a shame, as I met the rest of the crew. But then it says here, what is a drone access policy? A drone access policy is to guide to hobbyists and professionals who want to fly above your land. It sets out clear rules for anyone who wishes to fly in the low-level airspace within your property. Essentially, it's a set of rules for pilots and organizations. It provides them with clarity on what they can and cannot do, and provides you with the peace of mind that those flying drones near or within your property understand what is acceptable. Could anybody with any kind of knowledge of how regulation works in airspace, and you guys know even more than I do. You guys are doing operations on a daily basis. Stephen, you're doing drone delivery and beyond visual line of sight. You're doing UTM tests, all sort of things. Andrew, you also fly a drone occasionally as well, I think. But could you explain to me?
Massive build up for Stephen there, and just Andrew,
I know. I realised.
Oh wow!
But that opening for that joke came while I was bigging up Stephen. I thought, I'm just not going to big Andrew up at all. And Andrew flies a Mavic Mini occasionally.
So, you know the way when the advertising rules in the UK, or if you say like a terms and conditions like a little asterisk, and then you have to put the terms and conditions above. Is there a little asterisk here where they quote the law they're referring to for all these claims? Exactly. Where's the law that backs up these claims?
Indeed, and my issue is that this is obviously the website off the back of the drone access policy, etc. And it to me shows that it wasn't necessarily just a temporary issue. And I have raised this at length, as I say, at great length. And, you know, this needs fixing very, very soon. And
I think the problem here is, so DronePrep, you know, this is not a negative. They are a business. They have to make money, I imagine, to survive and to cover their costs. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, the plain light of day with the law as it is in terms of flying over and things might not sound that attractive to a landowner wanting to pay someone for a policy or blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So I think they've been creative to that point. I'm not saying that's malice. I'm just saying they've been probably more creative to try and make it more friendly to their purpose of selling the service.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's a service that is probably not as effective as the wording may make out because the law does not support it.
No, exactly. I mean, and as I was saying before, I was derogatory towards Andrew and his drone flying. Is can you guys show me where a single line of this, which is selling that drone access policy that we've now pointed out is incorrect, that's correct?
Every reference of law in the UK I can think of is the flip of this. So the only, because we talked before, you and I talked offline about the low-level airspace reference.
Yes.
And the only reference I'm aware of that is the Civil Aviation Act of 1982, which is really designed for things like tower cranes and about the shadow caused by tower cranes coming over property and a few other things like that sort of thing, like low-level aircraft spoiling your enjoyment of private land and stuff like that. None of this sits well with the law.
No,
we don't have that much in drone law. And what we have does not back up any of these claims.
Yes, and you see, this is one of the things which I am, and I'm getting a little bit more physically animated now as well, because this is one of the stories which really does start to tick my Microdrone 4 box almost. But one of the things that annoys me is that as hobbyist flyers, especially, and you guys are professionals, so you know the law backwards. As a GVC, thanks for Drone Masterclass. Sorry, Drone Masterclass. Link in the description. Go and get your A2 CofC GVC course. Andrew's a good boy. My issue is, even as a hobbyist, you have to know what you're doing to the point where you've got to be checking things like landowner takeoff permissions and signs for that type of thing, and you need to know your rules. You can't just say, "Oh, yeah, I was going to fly at 400 feet, but I kind of worded it differently that I could fly at 600 feet. So if that's okay," or this landowner said I could fly at 600 feet. We have to know the rules backwards. Otherwise, if one drone flyer doesn't do it, it's headline news. So therefore, in my opinion, the companies that are providing consultancy services that discuss airspace access with landowners should be beyond reproach. And my disappointment was, and as I expressed in my live stream earlier in the week, and as I expressed to DronePrep directly, that this wasn't perfect. That frankly, this should be a perfect policy. It should be, this is a takeoff and landing permission policy. And then actually, as you were saying before, Andrew, I think it would be extremely popular with the hobby, because people would be like, great, I can go to Kipling Hall and Gardens and fly my drone. And, you know, wife and kids, or the husband and kids, depending on, or the kid can fly the drone, whoever's doing trying not to be exclusionary there. And it's going to bring more income in for there, etc. And indeed, in their press release, they stated these are the quieter months, so we're going to be testing it. And I think that's great. I think it's fantastic. It's a positive, but not when it's sold as, and it's actually in the wording of their very simple documentation of restricting to flying, restricted airspace. And the main quote mentioning DronePrep from the director of that country house talks about when, where, how you can access our airspace. And I'm sorry to say, it's not your airspace.
It's quite worrying that they don't know that, but at the same time, we should be asking, what else don't they know? Mm-hmm. You know, if they're a consulting company, if they are having software,
yes, I completely agree with you. If you're relying on the DronePrep map to base a legal flight from, and this drone access policy is completely at odds with how we understand aviation law and the drone regulations, etc., then what else happens? Now, I do want to read a very quick paragraph which was sent across to me by Claire in response to this. And as I said, they have been extremely receptive. They have been extremely open to talking about this, and there has been no brick walls put up or anything else like that. There is much more okay, we need to get this right type of attitude. That is the attitude that I've so far gained. Not that I'm saying it is right that it should have been wrong in the first place, especially if you're selling it as a professional service. But they've said, thanks for giving us the chance to comment on this. We've very much listened to all the feedback and are currently consulting with a number of people, having reviewed and amended the policy wording. We also have a meeting with Kipling Hall on Friday. And I wanted to mention that bit because I noticed in the chat that Mike Plowman was saying that Kipling Hall themselves hadn't answered on Twitter, but DronePrep are actually meeting with them on Friday. So we hope to be able to republish soon. We're also conducting a review of the wording on our website. So updates there soon. Also, thanks again to Geeksvana and your community for helping us to shape this into a really positive step for the industry. We're determined to get it right.
I'm concerned that this is the point they're shaping it.
Yeah.
After it's been sold to the client.
Yeah. And Ken Heron, a $50 super chat. Thank you, Ken. I think that's the first time I've seen that color on my channel, actually. That's extremely generous of you. Thank you very much. Here's money for a big bowl of haggis for the Scottish guests. And then he puts a little sick emoji. Stephen, do you like eating haggis?
I love haggis. I really do. Thank you, Ken.
Do you know, anyone that says to haggis, yes, there's going to be people that don't like it. They probably haven't actually eaten it. And I think if you were given it and you weren't told what haggis is, sheep's stomach, then actually it's really tasty, isn't it?
Actually, you know that because the UK has now left Europe, you can actually make haggis in the sheep's stomach now, because the only way you couldn't do it was because you were because they have to wrap it.
Are you getting political?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just
pointing out facts.
He's not very sheepish about giving his opinion.
But and again, as Mike Plowman says in the chat, that's positive. But hell, when your policy is altered because you got it totally wrong, that's a worry. And that's exactly what Stephen was saying from the point of view that, you know, it is a concern, and you know, you have to have hands up that is a concern. And just because I find this, and this isn't speaking about DronePrep whatsoever, but I do find, and I know this is a complaint that other channels and other people do talk about, that I don't go as far down the route as a lot of these other people, but I do find that we need to ensure that this industry grows through airspace users, in my opinion, through, you know, for instance, you know, I'm going to hold Anarchy Labs up as an example. Anarchy Labs, Hanu and the team there, Stephen's no idea that I was going to talk about them, and he's now thinking, oh shit, why is he bringing them into this conversation? And this is the AR drone system, augmented reality drone system, which I tested live at DroneX. Hilarious. Go back and watch the live stream, which they're very kindly sending me a version to test. So there'll be more on that on Geeksvana soon. But that, again, is a software expert. Hanu is absolutely, you know, he's developed games before. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. And the software, therefore, feels really, really good because of that. It's really rich development, very, very professional. But what he's also done is he's got this guy. This guy here. I'm bigging Stephen up again. Sorry, Andrew.
Remember to point down when you're pointing at Stephen? Yes,
of course. Actually, so yeah, this
he's
guy.
actually down there. Yeah.
We've actually had to change the levels. And if
he's sitting cross-legged. He's sitting cross-legged. His seat to sit higher.
What's that?
Aren't you cross-legged?
Go this low.
But yes, but in any case, and Anarchy Labs have employed people like Stephen, extremely expert, obviously in the field, extremely expert in the industry, and they've gone to a whole host of others. And I've never seen a company talk to more people in this industry, even hobbyists and anyone that flies. What do you think of this? What can be changed? Is it right? Is this safe? Is this correct? Is that good? How can we make it safer? How can we do this? To the point where I heard with my own ears that our wonderful sponsor, Moonrock Drone Insurance, Simon Ritterband, when he tried it on, he felt that actually he was going to offer a discount to anyone that's using their AirHUD because he felt it was so much safer. And it's that development process that I want to see in the drone and UAV sector. I wanted to see it. Yes, you can have companies that aren't drone specific and aren't drone experts themselves, but get enough people involved, get enough people around you so that what is going out there is solid. It should not take a channel with 10,000 subscribers. I am a tiny drop in the ocean of YouTube, even compared to other drone channels. It should not take someone like that to point something like this out to a professional company who are offering consultancy services.
The barometer of a good drone product or service is when someone senior who's respected across the industry, like Simon, is happy to go on his stomach on the floor to take a photograph of it. on a random London venue, will jump on the floor in good clothes to take photos. That is when you know it's a good product or service.
That's it.
When you know someone's going to lie down the floor, that's when you know that product.
I feel like for Simon, I need to cover that up with the Moonrock Drone Insurance. And Elsmega, thank you for putting the link in the chat there, and the Geeksvana 10, which gives you a 10% discount.
If I didn't know DronePrep, because I'm aware of the map and stuff, which is good, but if I didn't know them, this would go, oh, this is a consultancy firm trying to jump on a drone bandwagon and doing it quite badly.
Well, and that is actually literally almost word for word a sentence that I said out loud to DronePrep in conversation with them this week. If I didn't have such a positive view of DronePrep already, and Claire hadn't come on and did a fantastic, very brave live demonstration of their map and everything worked exactly as they say and that type of thing, if I didn't have this positivity about that company, I would have really wanted to rip into this even heavier than I have done, frankly. And I hope that we can see a positive change. And I will report back once we see the new access policies being published and the new website going live and that type of thing. We're told it won't take too long.
My concern over here overall is there are a lot of stately homes. There's a lot of not national trust, but the independent versions of national trust.
Yes.
There's lots of is it Kipley Hall or whatever? Yeah. There's lots like that. My concern is what information are they getting at the moment in relation now to drone access and
because of that press release that was put out. Does Kipling Hall right now believe, with this drone access policy in place, that they control the airspace above their property? That's very dangerous, isn't it? That's very, from a confrontation point of view, from a, you know, and as I said to DronePrep, my issue also is, okay, I know the people behind DronePrep, and I hope that this was nothing more than a misselling issue, a miswording issue. However, what is to stop another company that is less, I did name a brand actually, but I'm not going to name it on air, a less professional brand, from coming up with their own drone access policy based on that same text? And the problem is, if this covers hundreds of properties up and down the UK, suddenly it's accepted. Suddenly it's easy for someone to then come in with a law and say landowners do control the airspace above their land, because actually we've already got all these hundreds of policies in place.
And this is causing more and more confusion for the drone hobbyists. And this is where we need to make sure that the drone hobbyists have a clear, you know, understanding of the law and of the rules when it comes to flying, because otherwise, you know, I mean, who knows, you know, and it's then, you know, someone can be flying somewhere and to be breaking the rules knowingly, and then just say, well, someone said something, someone says the other, I don't know who to believe, you know, and you know,
it's not fair. It's not fair to expect CAA to get involved in this, or DFC.
No, that's right. That's right.
Can we? Els Meghead just made an amazing comment. I don't know how did I not reference that before? I'll let you read it because I won't give it justice.
Kipling Hall must think they make exceedingly good rules. Which for our overseas, there's Kipling cakes which make exceedingly good cakes.
Mr. Kipling.
That is spot on, actually.
Is that his historical house?
I think it's Kipling and Kiplin. I think we're mixing we're mixing them enough that the joke's funny, but not actually related. The Snapshot Drones, Geeksvana, get in touch with the hall and get them on the show. We have reached out, so we are waiting for some kind of. I would assume with meetings in place with their consultant, they'll probably refer to them before they come back to us. But we will let you know if we hear anything directly as well.
If they come on, I'll bring the exceedingly good cakes.
It'll be free advertising for them.
But do you think the Kipling Hall will be adding a pinch of BV loss?
Well,
no.
Apparently, with this drone access policy, they control airspace, so they can give you as much BV loss as they want. Am I being a bitch now? Yeah, I think I might be. Okay. Excellent.
I mean, I think we should go and fly there.
Well, you know, I did, again, that did come up from the point of view that they're lucky it was 5.5 hours away from me. Because on Friday morning when I first read this, the first thing I felt like doing was jumping in the car and going and flying there live with the new DJI Fly app live, just to prove that I could, frankly, and that no one in that sense could stop me. But anyway, as I say, I'm hoping this gets resolved in an amicable and an open way, which is certainly the information that we're getting back.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. We have to make sure that everything is transparent and the law and the rules are clear for everyone.
Yeah, and it's the same as stories like Microdrone 4. If that guy had turned around in those interviews and said, "Okay, I've messed up. We need to get these refunds," and he'd stuck to his promises about what he's going to sort, then hey, fantastic. You know, I as I said to him, I'll support you. I would openly sing your praises, and I hope that this will be the situation with DronePrep, and I hope that the new wording and the new policy which is publicised, it talks about the things which they have the ability to talk about, which is the takeoff, which I know is a harder sell, as Andrew was saying, as a product to landowners, but it is a truer sell, frankly. So,
well, my concern is money's going to eventually, someone has to make money out of this. I'm not saying they have to morally, but to make a business function, someone's going to make money, and the problem is, does that lie landowner? Because, you know, eventually that goes down to the drone user. So the concern is about airspace access and money, because eventually it all comes down to that.
Exactly. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the show, which is actually one of the things you're never supposed to do on YouTube, is tell people that you're coming towards the end, because they'll go click and come off it. But I wanted to very quickly ask, how have you got much coming up on your channel, Stephen? I know you've had the move, and I know you've got your secret missions for foreign governments coming up as well, which probably doesn't leave you much time to record much.
It doesn't. I was thinking I've got some videos I would like to make. I really don't have the time. I'm going to be traveling next week. I will be joining you. I'll be joining the show from Indonesia.
Yes. Have you ordered the high chair from the hotels?
They've got me a special room.
Have they a special room? Is it sized to make you look normal? Because
no, it's like
although that looks to everybody like a curtain behind you, that's actually the runner off a double bed.
Yeah.
So that's actually a duvet from a bed just sticking over the edge.
What do you call it? A helmet or a pelmet or something? Yeah.
That's it. Pelmet. Yeah. It's a double bed pelmet. But yeah, no, indeed. Yeah. And we look forward to more Dubai style streams with you at various times of the morning and things and various times of the week.
Mavic 3 in the desert.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll be in Papua beginning of November. I'll also be starting off Jakarta. I'll be in quarantine in Jakarta. So I will be on live streams because I'll be stuck in a hotel room.
Yeah, so there might actually be some extra live streams on Geeksvana and Flyby Guys as Stephen decides that he's going crazy and wants to talk to people. You should do that. You should do quarantine live streams from Flyby Guys on your channel. I would be there 100%.
With a pinch of BVLOS.
With a pinch of BVLOS. That would be awesome.
Right, okay. All those in the channel, please say yes if you want me to do a live stream from Jakarta in quarantine with a pinch of BVLOS.
Every day. We want to see one every day. We want to see.
What's the time zone?
I want to be able to take screenshots and see you slowly descend into madness, as did Smeghead when he was in quarantine.
Is that plus 11, something like that?
Yeah, they're already answering.
I think it's I think they are. Yeah, that's good, guys. I think I'll do that. I think it's 7 hours UK from Jakarta. Actually, Jakarta's plus 4 hours, so it's 6 hours for you. But then there's the time zone when the clocks go back, and then when I'm in Jayapura, it's going to be 8-9 hours.
Are you back?
Okay. So can we have 8 p.m. UK time, please?
Yes. Are you back from your international ventures early mid-December?
Not sure.
Okay, because mid-December-ish, we're hoping, and he's looking down towards Andrew, to be announcing a certain special event that we're going to do, which will actually give the audience a chance to come along and meet us and fly drones with us, etc. We're going to have a day of drones at Geeksvana, hopefully at the wonderful new head office in a secret location of Drone Masterclass.
Well, it's not a head office. Just to clarify that.
I keep calling it head office, don't I? Why do I keep doing that? No. Sorry. Not even UK. Oh my God.
No, because I'll get you in a lot of trouble.
Oh, the English version, the English office.
We speak English here too.
No, it's the English office though. It's in England. So the English England.
I would say our latest regional office.
Yeah, okay, latest regional office. All right. I need to go back to school, clearly. So yes, at the latest regional office, English headquarters of that's really bad, isn't it? England.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree because of the nice space we have. We have done some things that are better in that office than the head office or elsewhere. Yeah. So there are some nice things in that office that are better than anywhere else. I will give you that.
But that happens with a lot of companies. Like Google's campuses are much nicer and more friendly and things than their actual head office and things, which are much more serious offices. So yeah, no, I see. So yes, I was actually going to say the town name it was in then, but that would give it away. Although I did give it away on the live stream last week.
If it's the nearest town, good luck pronouncing that. Then we have I've had an argument with many of my staff about how to pronounce that nearest town.
What, the thing that you put butter on?
No, that's not. No.
Toast.
No. There's an in the end of it.
Toaster.
Who puts butter on a toaster?
No, I meant on toast, but I was giving the. I think it was anyway. Yeah, we're going to be having a day of drones, and you're going to come along and meet us. We're going to have a barbecue, despite the fact that it's in December. But we'll have details on that releasing soon, and we're going to have some kind of contest, some kind of lottery for you guys to be able to get hold of tickets. We obviously would never dream of charging you, and you can come along and play with Andrew's Mavic, M300s and M600s too.
Else Meghead, yes, I would pronounce that as Tousester personally, but apparently it's not.
Yeah, I was just as surprised as you, frankly. So, but yeah, it'll be fantastic to do, and it will be partly televised. We'll be live streaming from the event and that type of thing as well. So it should be an awful lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed the three of us getting together last week for the first time ever in the same room.
It is going to be the location of the drunk stream.
It is, yes, and perhaps
not that day, but
I was going to say it can't really happen the same day, but yeah, I'm not sure I could be drunk in charge of channel members and channel viewers.
We need to borrow a private jet for Stephen in that case. I think we're reducing the timing of that.
And we'll be giving the tickets away on sort of equal thing between the channel members and open channel viewers. So technically, if you want to become a channel member, you will get more of a chance to get a ticket, but the same number of tickets will be available to both sides of the fence, as it were. So, but yes, Ray Kelly, a barbecue too, which will be fantastic. And Ray Kelly had hot dogs tonight. There you go.
And yes, there will be brisket. Of course there will be brisket.
Actually,
why wouldn't there be brisket?
Ray Kelly was actually not happy that he wasn't invited
to DroneX. Yes.
To DroneX. So, Ray, if we're all going to be there in December, then you have to come over.
Yeah. But yeah, if you are back, Stephen, we'd like to see you come over from Finland and be there. If I'm
back, I'll be over.
Lovely. In other words, if he wants to be there, he'll be there. Otherwise, yeah.
I don't know where I'll be, to be honest with
you. So yeah, excellent. So that's basically it for this evening's show. Thank you very much for joining us. We've covered an awful lot, from the CAA interviews to the landowner issue, airspace issues, etc., even Blue Origin, which I'm really looking forward to doing some other live streams on that. And thank you guys for joining us tonight and supporting the channel on this hour, a more intimate stream. I really do appreciate it, and it's taking the time out of your nights. We started at 8 p.m. tonight, so it'd be good to know if people found that a better start time, at 8 p.m. UK time, that is. We sort of move between the 8 and 9 o'clock slot, but for me it's nicer because of course I'm finished a little bit earlier. Although tonight on Ken Heron's channel, which if Smeghead can find the link for that, I'd be really appreciative. I am going to be co-host on Ken Heron's Thursday Night Live. We have a very special guest. Have you heard who the guest is tonight, Stephen?
No. Is it him?
Who, Andrew? No.
Is it him?
No, although I think he'd be a very...
I'm going to bed.
I think he'd be a very good guest. I don't think he's going to be on at 1 a.m. UK time, though, like I am.
Is this for Ken Heron?
Yes.
So, no, because he gave $50 for him to have haggis. I'm Irish, not Scottish, so what am I getting? You know?
We need another $50 for something.
Where's my whiskey? Where's my whiskey?
Yeah, indeed.
You had your whiskey last week.
But yes, it's actually the super fan Alexis is going to be the guest.
Oh no, you give me. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you bought me whiskey. Sorry, but that was Scottish whiskey. Yeah.
And Smeghead's just put the link to the show in there. You can actually join the pre-show chat right now. Anyone that does go over there now and put hashtag Geeksvana in the chat to show them that we sent you over there. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Vernon says Akarasho. Perhaps that would be a show for me to co-host. Blimey, I'm not sure I'd be allowed in the building for that.
Does Vernon want a ticket to that special day in December?
I think he wants a ticket to a certain special day with me. I'm not sure that's the one.
Wasn't he in the next door county? Isn't he living in the next door county to that?
No, I think that's the ancestral. The current is actually much closer to me.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. We want Vernon, says Andy Keast. But yes, as Ray Kelly says, Alexis, oh wow, yeah, it's going to be a good show, actually. It's going to be a really funny show. There's a few announcements tonight as well. But I'm really looking forward to that. So if you are going over to the chat, click the link there. It will take you across to it. That's in the live chat that Smeghead put in, and put hashtag Geeksvana in the chat. I'll see you all there this evening. You guys, I love you. The Three Amigos ride again. We need more of these streams.
I know. We need the Mavic 3 at that meet in December as well.
Yes,
I'm sure we'll have a Mavic 3 there.
We will certainly have a Mavic 3 there. There'll probably be more than one actually, but yes, that's another story. Wonderful. Thank you guys.
Have fun.
Yes, Andrew, have you got anything coming up on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, lots actually, but it's all unlisted.
Oh, you have to be very special to get the links to those.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.